in general, beginning with that Mission Impossible movie, the seventh in the franchise that some people are saying is the penultimate. Dead Reckoning Part 2 supposed to be the end of it all?
Tom Cruise is certainly not saying it. He was saying he wants to keep making these movies until he's what, 80?
That's what he said, but I've heard the man himself, Christopher McQuarrie. They call him McHugh, which I thought was pretty cute. That
Mm-hmm.
Mr. McHugh's been talking about that being the end of that. That they're looking to wrap it up in that way. They've even been talking about some de aging, which is a conversation for a more spoiler talk there. But in order to expand and maybe finish what has been a lot of themes within the Mission Impossible franchise, they have set up what is an AI entity, something that Tom Cruise already vented about in Top Gun. And now he's like, you know what? I'm going to face it here. And with all the allegories dealing with Tom Cruise saving Hollywood, Tom Cruise fighting religion damn near in this movie, what was the thing that stood out to you the most? Or were you underwhelmed by it? We have not talked about the newest Mission
Yeah.
Impossible.
I think I came out on it a little bit more excited than you because you got to see it ahead of me. So I heard your reaction, and we both enjoyed it for sure because
Yeah.
we are fans of this type of filmmaking, this type of big blockbuster action filmmaking where you can actually feel the reality of it. You can see that this isn't all created in post in computers and whatever. Tom Cruise and the many stunt people who are involved in these things, they put their bodies on the line. They figure out how to capture these things in ways that kind of do feel like you're on the edge of danger in a lot of ways. And there's something really exhilarating to see to seeing that kind of stunt work on a big stage like this. It's different than, your John Wicks, which are so much about the fight choreography. This is like got that sort of almost like Buster Keaton-esque quality where there's
And this
things
one,
like
yeah,
crashing all around them. I thought this was like what maybe the funniest Mission Impossible film. There's a
easily.
whole moment where a car flips upside down, which is like a laugh out loud thing that I did not expect from this franchise. I had a really good time with them, or this movie in particular. You know, even if it's not necessarily like the most comprehensible story or a story where I felt like I completely understood the stakes, just in
Hmm.
terms of like the tension and the pace of it, the way in which it is a globe-trotting adventure that actually feels like a globe-trotting adventure, not something that was completely faked with, a second unit team and some clever CGI. I just really enjoyed my time with Mission Impossible 7, Part 1.
I was very skeptical going in or coming out of it the first time. I was like, oh, this is a lot goofier than I expected it to be. I also was coming at it from revisiting Fallout and Fallout. Be for real, Zach. Come on.
That's the best one.
It's the best one. And I'm
Yeah.
glad that so many people have been rewatching it and just seeing like how leagues ahead of it they were with the practical effects and what they were doing there. And here, it took my second viewing to really see that, oh, he's having a good time. He's goofing
Yeah.
around with it. I think a lot of it is also going to rely on how part two comes into play because I have some
Yeah.
theories in terms of where they're going to take characters and really how, again, they may wrap up the franchise. But I think the cast is fantastic. Haley Atwell, that's a Hollywood crush over here.
Mm-hmm.
She kills it in this movie. There has been kind of a series of parallels. You had mentioned it too, and I agree with you 100% because I thought the same thing when I came out. There are way too many set pieces in all of these blockbuster movies. Another big one, besides the stairs, how you said in your tweet, is the female character who kind of gets in the way but almost kind of helps the main character who's a brunette and does all these crazy things. She's one of the best ones that we've got.
Yeah.
There was
It
this
helps
one,
when you cast Haley Atwell in that role.
and you allow her to do what she should be doing, not like,
Mm-hmm.
as she's been venting for some other franchises. I thought the way that they were able to have a lot of set pieces go up, just picking up the angst and every single one. They talked about this one that happens at the Dubai airport. I didn't realize it wasn't open. They opened it just for them. They were shooting in there for the desert scene. They did it like right in the back of the airport as well. Obviously, the big stunt that everyone's been talking about is the train seat or the one that is him getting onto the train. But
Yeah.
personally, I think the stunt that follows that does have a little CGI, that's the standout.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like, even though there is some CGI in it, they're able to give it a sense of reality. Like maybe because it's so like it takes place in a really understandable environment. One thing that I really love about that sequence is the way that it kind of keeps changing what's happening even as they keep sort of doing the same thing, if that makes any sense. They go through different
Yeah.
sections. They're just very good in this franchise at figuring out ways to up the ante and to put their people in, to put Tom Cruise into this corner that feels, pun intended, impossible to get out of, and to find a way out of it. I just think that they're really enjoyable. I think the filmmaking is really just kinetic and fun. And we were talking slightly about the cast. There's some newish cast members, some brand new cast members. I really love the way that these films utilize Vanessa Kirby, because she's this very interesting person to look at, not just because she's like obviously very beautiful, but she has these kind of like strange facial expressions and is able to sort of like be a bit mysterious. And I like that they lean into that with her. But I don't know about you. I thought Pom Klementieff was a huge standout in this film.
Bro, she is too good in this movie. They were talking about how I looked at her outfit, this black braid outfit. She said she picked it out herself. And then on top of that, a lot of the sequences where she's like chasing them, she has this big grin on her face. Mm-hmm. And what they did was take, not necessarily B-roll, but shots where she was just having too much fun driving around, and they kept them. And she's like, no, I'm going to look psychotic. Then she sees the final cut and they're like, whoa, that looks crazy. It makes her character look like she's so into it. Nah, she was definitely a standout for that. I heard her talk about how it has been 10 years since she came to Hollywood. She started in Old Boy.
Yeah.
Not knowing English.
Spike Lee's Old Boy.
Yeah. And now Guardians, nah, bro, she's a standout. You saw that thing about her doing a bunch of flips out of the helicopter?
Oh, actually, no. Tell me about it.
I guess she's been doing 60. She's skydived 66 times, and people are like, "Yeah, you're coming back. We're gonna see you do more stunts." So I'm excited to see what they're gonna do with her. I'm excited, like you said, with Vanessa Kirby, rewatching the first one. Her mom's in the first one, so they've been taking their time building out the lore. Her mom, as in the character,
the character
that she plays. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty interesting. I had also heard in interviews that another person that they brought back from the first movie had a lot of his lines just done by him. And you can tell. There's what I will say about a lot of the performances in this movie is that it's all in the eyes of wincing. So obviously Tom Cruise likes to do his little stares, but even with this man, Kirchich has this one scene that you see in the trailer where he's kind of telling Ethan, like, things aren't going to go well for you. And you could just see his eye. Like, they haven't been taking their vitamins. Everyone just stood out. I also did like Shea Wingham?
I love Shea Wingham in this movie.
Shea Wingham did a fantastic job, dude. Mm-hmm. And Tarzan, who was in Top Gun. He brought several people from Top Gun.
Shoot, what's his name?
Even the dude who played Warlock, he's in one of the sequences when they're all gathered together. But no, they all play off well each other, dude. They do a fantastic job.
I particularly like that in this movie, they were able to do so many allusions to the first film. Oh, sorry, by the way, that actor is Charles Parnell, who was in both Top Gun Maverick and this. Really, really commanding presence. But I like how in this film they bring back a lot of the Dutch angles that Brian De Palma was using in moments there. They brought back the close-up sleight of hand magic that Ethan Hunt would do in the first film.
That caught me off guard.
Yeah, like even just like you said, returning to Kirchich, they do a lot of like connecting this back to the roots of the Mission Impossible franchise without making it like some kind of what do you call it, retconned sequel thing.
Yeah, I'm curious because without getting into too much spoilers, they really pushed this little flashback sequence that you see with SIE's character, the character of Gabriel.
I guess that's a bit of retconning for sure.
It's not even that it's retconning; it's just adding something where if you rewatch the first one, like his whole team dies in the first one. I think that's all he needs. I think a whole group dying is better to connect with his whole group maybe dying than having to add a love interest. But again, I've been hearing this new tech that they want to push in terms of maybe doing some de-aging, and they said that they had filmed some stuff and then kind of strayed away from it. But you do see it on SIE's character, so they've kind of already worked something out there. But I'm, again, very curious to see how they're going to take it, how they're going to wrap it, and overall, I highly recommend watching Fallout because they have not been tapped since, in my opinion. But overall, where does it rank for you? And even more than that, I have to ask you. I don't know where this came from.
Mm-hmm.
Mission Impossible 3 or Mission Impossible 2?
Yeah, I feel like every couple years the answer changes to that question. I'm not really sure why that like suddenly everybody hates 3 again, or sorry, hates 2 again.
No, they hate
But
3 again.
I'm seeing some hate for 2.
I'm seeing the justified hate for 2 that should always be there.
I mean, look, I'm going 3 personally. If I'm
okay,
choosing
yeah.
between them,
Same, yeah. No, I've been seeing a lot of hate for 3. The 2 has been justified. I like there was
Yeah.
this one quote that someone had said. It's like, it's fun, it's great, but y'all are ignoring the other like hour and 50 minutes of that movie. I don't hate 2. I don't hate any of these movies.
yeah, I think they're all fun.
But it's been interesting to see people revisit them.
I
and,
think this is my least favorite of like the latter half, right? Like there's that split
Yeah.
between 3 and 4 where it feels like the franchise kind of goes in a slightly different direction. And of those films, I think this is my least favorite, but I really liked all those movies. So it's not really like a knock against this one.
Yeah, I feel weird saying that, but that was exactly my point coming out of it, and you could definitely tell that it's Chris McQuarrie's addition to it and what he's been able to do with it, and I like it. I'm curious to see where they take it next. Do you miss the fact of the approach that they used to have of having a bunch of different directors, going from JJ, going from Wu, going from De Palma?
I do. I kind of like the sort of ability to give it a fresh set of eyes or kind of refresh it. But, McQuarrie has developed this really strong working partnership with Tom Cruise in the past few years. And I don't know, man, they're making good movies. So I don't really want to complain about making good movies, but I also think it'd be really cool to bring in some interesting new voices. That said, like Mission Impossible was doing that before it became like a really common thing to do, and now that's what Marvel does, is they just try to find the interesting new director to bring in. I don't know.
So it helps also have consistency, but it's been a good run. That's really all that matters.
Totally.
So we both recommend it. I would say go out to a theater to watch it. I've heard good things about the Screen X and the 40X. I've said my thoughts on the IMAX over on LME. But the Dolby is probably the best way to catch it. I think they really knock it out of the park with that one right there.
Nice.
So